on the way to Shasta Mountain, or correction, Lassen National Park in Lassen Mountain, through the pretty trees on Route 44 from Redding. And of course it's fall, so we get the colors, although they're relatively muted colors still. That's where we're going to there, Lassen Mountain. We're now just at the entrance gate for Lassen National Park, and we'll be going by the devastated area, Summit Lake, Lassen Peak Trail, Sulphur Works entrance. And this date, that's the status of campgrounds, one open here and one at the end of the trail. The little lake area right as we go in. Nice good sized lake actually. We'll check that out. Maybe the campground's there and I can throw the boat in, spend the day working on stuff. This is Manzanita Lake on the north end of the entrance to Lassen National Park, but it's getting cloudy and cool and windy, and so I think there's still enough sunlight that I think I'll take the drive over the top, camp at the south end of the park. And it looks like there's a lake down there. That way I don't have to worry about getting up on the mountain when it's too cloudy to see, or even more, it's snowy. Just wanted to get a roadside view of the mountain. This is the devastated area trail, and it demonstrates the damage that occurred on May 22nd, 1915, and on May 19th, just a few days before. Here's a man here that indicates how much higher these slopes are now as a result of the avalanche washout, and it brought some huge boulders down. Well, there's the man there. And that illustrating the height of those things. And that's apparently the little trail, so we'll just go run this one. Apparently those guys got out of there. They came up to photograph the May 19th eruption on the 22nd and left quickly enough that they did not get nailed by the 445 one. These are called puzzle rocks, and they're rocks that were thrown out immediately by the avalanche and were very, very hot inside and outside. They cooled inside first, apparently. Correction, they cooled on the outside. And therefore they end up fracturing, and this is what you get. There are other rocks that came down that didn't fracture, and that's because they were much older rocks that were caught up in the path, and they of course had already cooled down. That's something interesting. They're called quenched rock, and they're the result of when the hotter basalt injected into the cooler dacite magma. It was like hot wax hitting cold water. The blobs were immediately quenched, so they have a different look and probably structure. And notice here's a rather large rock. It hasn't fractured. It looks the same as the other one, while not quite as obscene, not quite as glassy, but you can see the blobs, the quenched rock, or the blobs inside of it. According to this, the rock from the avalanche would have flowed right down here. Now what happened was, when the avalanche kicked in, it shattered the dome. There were a bunch of big rocks that started coming down, but then the hot lava rocks set off a snow avalanche that brought these rocks all the way down through here, and you can see them. And I assume that even the rocks, I'm guessing, are standing on part of the volcanic movement, but maybe not. Maybe they were just brought down here by the snow and dropped. This rock before the sign was labeled by B.F. Loomis in the below photograph 3 days after the explosion, and it was still warm to the touch, or hot to the touch, it said. Here's another big rock that looks like it came from the same place. It has a similar the blob or the quenched rock elements inside of it, but it's significantly different color, and it looks like it has either crystals, some kinds of crystals or something that it picked up. Just a different kind of rock. But then here's the darker color, and you can notice that it has those white spots in it too. I just don't know what it is. Well, there's the mountain from whence the rocks came. Either there or over there, I'm not sure which part of the mountain. And I climbed up onto a little bench from where I was, but it's just interesting that there are these rocks all around me of considerable size, and they're uphill from where I was, so it would seem to suggest that that avalanche at this distance was powerful enough to push those rocks down through that hole and up that little hill that I just climbed. This was one view in 1910 of forest and a open meadow area, and then in 1925, 10 to 7 years after the two eruptions, this is what it looked like. It wiped out the forest that we saw, stripped those hills bare, and moved a lot of the debris down over what once was that pasture. Now what this is illustrating is that up in this area right here, and I'll pan up so we can take a closer look at it. I'm guessing it's that spot right in the middle there where it looks like there's a sand hole. That is a remnant of the original forest that was not destroyed, and apparently it's used as a benchmark for evaluating the condition of the forest and the changes to it today. Brought down from the mountain by the avalanche. This is a scene from 50 miles away. Reminds you of the atom bomb. But what actually happened was on the 15th, the lava welled up and blocked the hole, kind of like putting a cap on a pressure cooker. And then on the 19th, the pressure built up and it just blew it out. Now we're getting into the terrible, dreaded white stuff. This is fresh enough to be on the road. Somber and bleak up here, particularly on this dark, windy, kind of chilly day, particularly with snow. There are some pretty little lakes along the way, just little small ones. And I'll bet you in the summer it'd look very pretty and enticing. Right now it just looks chilly. That hillside over there in this canyon has all of the looks of a volcano, but I don't know that this is anything in particular. I don't know that it's a caldera at all. Just working my way down through this canyon on the switchbacks, and this is very much volcanic area, even if it doesn't look like a perfect volcano. And there, I think, is the evidence down there. And up here you can get this faint smell of sulfur. Looks like it's just a hole in the ground and it's coming out. I don't know if there's any mud pots or so forth down there. Looks just like it's coming out of a fissure of some sort, but I can't tell. But it looks like there may be several others that have done similar things. Here we've got just some steaming vents, but obviously this pile was built by some kind of volcanic activity. What caused what lies underneath there, I don't know. You can see this whole formation extends down to that creek there, and the creek itself runs with that yellowish iron type color, rust color. We can hear it gurgling and bubbling and see some splashes of hot mud, I'm sure, but I can't see down inside of it. Some people who are a little bit imaginative. It really doesn't harm anything at all. Some kind of air vent. I wonder if this isn't somewhat analogous to the dam that throughout these hills is a continual process of venting. And if that were to stop in total, you might get the closed bottle effect with a firecracker and it just blows it apart. There's little teeny weeny spots, pressure and vapor slipping out of. I climbed up this walk on the opposite side of the stream from this walkway down below because it's blocked off. The lower part, they've removed all the horizontal railings, and I assume for safety reasons that's why they've done that, but it doesn't look like there's much down there except a lot more steam than I saw in the other place.